Welcome back, everyone. It is the Soccer Talk Lads or STL podcast. And much like a former NXT employee who has been fired in the last 18 months, we're back, whether you want us to be or not.
That's right.
Justin, we didn't quite stick to schedule. I think maybe we missed a week. But we're doing better.
3 weeks, 2 weeks, who's counting, right? It's the summer.
Improving. Yeah, exactly.
We all lose track.
But
we're getting better.
We're here. How are you doing over on?
It's good. I mean, part of the delay was I had to travel to Barcelona to smuggle some drugs into Frankie De Jong's locker to get him out of his Barcelona contract. So that was part of the holdup.
I thought you were going to say personally bail out the ownership there. But,
also,
whatever.
I had to pull another lever. I'm one of the levers, actually.
There's so many levers. That organization should be stricken from the earth. I think we've reached the point where they should just be canceled as a soccer team.
Well, they're suing themselves now, which I think that's just a parody of itself at that point.
Who doesn't do that, to be honest? I mean, I sue myself. I'm sure you sued yourself. We all sue ourselves.
Especially when I sign midfielders to contracts that I later can't pay for.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. That's what we all do. We all do it. So
every single one of us. Who among us?
Yeah, exactly. So I don't really understand what the holdup is personally, or what your issue is. So Barcelona is a hot mess. The Premier League table is already a hot mess, and by that I simply mean that Liverpool is not at the top of it. We kicked off Premier League action was it Friday?
Yeah.
With Arsenal looking dominant against Crystal Palace. Prayers up for Wilf Zaha, who has to spend another year in that godforsaken hellhole.
You know Go ahead, Steven. But my mind-blowing realization is that Wilf Zaha is only 27.
Yeah. It's disgusting.
How is that possible?
I have a friend who is adopting soccer as a sport this year, and particularly the Premier League, and he's decided that his teams are going to be Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest.
Good luck to him.
And I just, and it's he'll keep texting me and be like, oh, it doesn't look good. And I'm like, yeah, it's not gonna. At no point. It's at no point this year will you enjoy soccer if that's the road you decide to go down. I don't think
if I was coming into the sport, I'd pick either of those teams.
Yeah. I mean, the weird thing about it is I told him, if you want to root for a plucky underdog, do Leeds or somebody. Who
Leeds is the team. If I was coming into it as a new fan, especially after watching that game this weekend, I'm a Leeds fan if I'm coming into it.
And he's also talked about Brighton, which due respect, they're at least a pluckier. They've got a little bit of something, a little bit of oomph there. And
Graham Potter is a good system. That gives you something.
There's just a lot of options that aren't Nottingham Forest and Crystal Palace.
Man, I'm not shaming you. You're going to go through a lot of pain, though, for a while. And probably will never see anything good. And Crystal Palace might make Europe at some point.
So is Arsenal good? Or are they just playing Crystal Palace? That's my first question for you.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were good. I thought they were good behind Gabriel Jesus and Zinchenko, who are both Man City cast-offs. So I think it goes back to that discussion we had last year of could a Man City team of Man City cast-offs, could a team of Man City cast-offs make Europe? And I think the answer is definitively yes after this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Arsenal's trying to prove that.
They really are. But yeah, I thought they looked good. Obviously Crystal Palace have their issues of where it's solely Wilf Zaha, but outside of that, I thought they dominated the game pretty much.
Yeah, they definitely look good. I mean, I'm going to reserve judgment a little bit until I see them play not Crystal Palace, but I think since Liverpool is going to be relegated, there definitely is a spot in the top four for a potential new European team.
And don't get twisted. That defense is still a hot mess. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, once they face somebody with more attacking oomph, they might have a little bit of trouble. So we'll go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off and talk about Liverpool drawing 2-2 to Fulham. I mean, I'm mad that I woke up early.
Yeah.
Because 7:30 I was going to say 7:30 is earlier here than it is there. The exact opposite is true. So at least I woke up an hour later in Jacksonville than I would have in St. Louis. But
Like on the sunny side. Yeah.
I mean, I feel mixed emotions because like Liverpool didn't look like the better team in the first half, looked like the far better team in the second half. Both of the Fulham goals came with some controversy, which isn't me trying to discredit them because I don't think that's fair or reasonable. But, the first one, there was the arguable foul on, or pretty, not even really all that arguable foul on Henderson up the field before the goal, when possession turned over that, obviously would have stopped the attack and given Liverpool the ball. On the second one, pretty suspect, fairly weak penalty call, but they got the opportunities and they took advantage of them, and Liverpool couldn't find a way to score 3 goals. I'm not like freaking out yet. Obviously, didn't Man City just start with a straight up loss last year?
I believe so, yeah.
So, you can have those moments and slips along the way. I don't think Man City this year is going to be perfect. And if they are, then they're already going to win the championship.
Congrats to Man City on your championship.
But like, I'm not going to sit here and say I loved what I saw from Liverpool. I'm a little worried about, the defense, not really the defense. I mean, I think it's going to be fine, but Trent is not a good defender. He's still one of the best right backs in the league, which makes that even more insane.
That first Mitrovic goal where he just like rises up and Trent doesn't even really like make an effort.
Yeah,
it's kind of rough.
Yeah, not great. But if he ever figures that part out, oh my God. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna panic too much.
I think I think you can justify it as like they had a striker who's just really in form and played really well. And then you can also like add the XG. Liverpool outplayed them XG wise 2.34 to 1.27. So like, from like a process standpoint, like for all intents and purposes, they outplayed Fulham, but you're just going to have those games. I think it's a tough league.
Yeah, definitely agree. Moving on to Tottenham, they bested Southampton 4-1. Are they good or is Southampton bad? You tell me, Justin.
I like how that's our questions this week.
Yeah.
I think Southampton bad. I think that's what I'm going to go with. Oh man, I haven't looked at the XG yet, but so Tottenham had 1.62 XG. They scored 4 goals on. Typically not great.
Not ideal. Not ideal.
I think Southampton are bad. I think they're going to be in a tough spot. I know we talked about this in our preseason review, but like James Ward-Prowse was kind of like their only shining star of that game, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And it never looked like it was in doubt for Tottenham at all.
Yeah. I mean, I think first of all, due respect always to James Ward-Prowse. Right. I mean, that's a given. That's a given. I would say the centerpiece of my fantasy dynasty. But with that said, Southampton's pretty terrible, and I'm not going to sit here and crown Tottenham before, in the immortal words of Dennis Green, if you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they were who we thought they were, so
yeah, that's good.
I just feel like Tottenham has to, it's kind of the same as Arsenal. Like, show me something against a team we know is very good.
Yeah,
it doesn't even have to be like a Liverpool, Man City, Chelsea situation. But like, even if you go out and you really beat, I don't know, he's even a good example, but like West Ham or whoever, like a team that is upper tier, upper half for sure.
Wolves then of sorts.
Yeah. Then I'll believe a little more, but we'll see,
And they play Chelsea on the road next week. So like, that's a real quick proving ground right there.
Yeah, agreed. we've got some good friends who are Tottenham fans, so
A
all
co-host of this
respect to them.
podcast who I think is still alive, but you'll have to
Do we
confirm that.
have a co-host of this podcast?
Yeah, Ian. Do you remember Ian? He
No,
comes on every now
who's
and then.
that?
Ian Pierce. You host a hockey podcast with him also, if that helps.
Oh, hockey. Yeah. I know that guy.
That Ian. That Ian.
Yeah, I don't like that guy, but I know. Too mean? Probably too mean.
Also a Tottenham fan, big time. He watched a game this weekend. I'm so proud of him.
Yeah, he did. He watched that Tottenham game. I'm very proud of him as well, but he wasn't man enough to show up on the podcast and talk about it. I swear sometime he's going to rejoin us.
Yeah, really just scared of how bad we're going to rip him.
It's awkward too, because our entire listener base is his immediate family. So like, it's kind of strange that he won't show up and talk to them. They just want to hear your voice for once, Ian. I mean, I know you won't return their calls, but
this is their only way of contact. We know that.
Doug Peters misses you, Ian. Leeds looked pretty good in their game against Wolves. As we mentioned, Jesse Marsch, the American, is leading, no pun intended, that team to the promised land. And then he had a fight with Bruno Lage afterwards. There are some Americans on Leeds as well, including Brendan Aronson, who I believe scored the game-winning goal. Talk to us about the whole milieu of Leeds, Justin.
I'm a little bit disappointed that the Aronson goal was actually ruled an own goal, but he was there.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either. I thought watching it, I thought his foot got there, so that's in my head canon. I think that Aronson scored that goal.
I agree.
But yeah, I thought Brendan Aronson looked really good. And when we're talking about, coming into Leeds who are trying to move their way up the table, that's a lot of pressure on you to come in and just start in the midfield and have a game like that. So that's such incredibly promising when you think of Brendan Aronson and his future of the US too. That makes our midfield picture a lot more interesting.
Yeah. I agree. I just have to really quickly interject because I couldn't help myself. I love looking up European cities. I'm going to plop this down in the note.
All right, let's check this out.
Because anytime you look one up, this is Leeds, as you might have guessed. There's always the center of town is full of Gothic cathedrals with the grime of 1,000 lifetimes on them, like that central building in this photo. It was clearly there during the Industrial Revolution. We're looking at the Industrial Revolution.
They haven't cleaned it since,
and they have not found a power washer in Leeds since. But then the background is just Clayton, Missouri, some mid-size, not very impressive, but
the thing about
thinks it's full of itself sort of town.
While we're on this topic, the thing about England that I don't understand is how the Manchester, United City and Liverpool players all live in the same neighborhood, outside of Leeds, I think. That makes no sense to me. How are these places so close together? Yeah,
they all live outside of Leeds?
Yeah, there's one community that all the popular footballers live in. It's I think it's just outside of Leeds.
Yeah, I mean the whole city's the whole country is not that far apart.
It just breaks my brain. As someone who has to drive 3 hours from one city to the next, it breaks my brain.
Yeah, I felt that way when I did a couple years ago. This is nerdy, but I did a trip around some Civil War battlefields.
Cheshire, England is which I think is outside Leeds. Pretty sure.
Oh, Cheshire. Yeah. Who doesn't know about Cheshire?
Who doesn't? Oh, it's in between Liverpool and Manchester, directly in between.
Oh, okay. That makes sense, I suppose. Even Liverpool and Manchester are so close. I hate this country. But yeah, I took that Civil War battlefield trip, and it's you should intrinsically know that they were troops of thousands and thousands of men walking everywhere. But when you drive between those battlefields, you're Gettysburg is like 6 minutes from Appomattox Courthouse. That's obviously a bit of an exaggeration, but
It
I mean,
took
they're all pretty close
6 months
together.
to walk there. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? As we go through, I'm going to continue posting pictures of the various cities that we
Please
talk
do,
about.
Stephen. Please
I
do.
feel like that'll be a fun, I always like adding a visual element to our podcast that our listeners truly can't access or understand in any way. So why don't you talk to me about Newcastle and Nottingham Forest?
Yeah, in 1 second, because I'm just realizing that Bolton, Wigan, and Northwich, not to be confused with Norwich, are like right in between Liverpool and Manchester. Well, I don't understand this city. Okay, let's move on. I'm going to be looking at maps of England the rest of the night.
Yeah, so tell us about this game, Justin.
Let's do it. Which game are we talking about again? Are we talking about Newcastle, Nottingham Forest?
Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, which I had to watch. So you should feel bad for me.
I do. Nottingham Forest had 0.24 XG. Do you feel like that is a good representation of how they like this game?
Yeah. Well, actually, I think it's too generous, to be perfectly honest with you.
2-0 Newcastle, completely deserved. Good on you.
Yeah, but give us a deeper analysis, Justin. You got to give us more than
this
that.
Is
right?
dire. When you look at their XG, like one of their chances came from like 3/4 of the way out, and then everything else is like a 0.02 XG chance, a 0.02, a block shot, a missed shot. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, they got completely overwhelmed by Newcastle, who I don't think is very good to begin with. I think Newcastle's like a maybe upper mid-table team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure, at most. Justin, in the doc, I posted a photo of Newcastle and Nottingham, and I would like you to tell me which city is which.
I would say Nottingham's on the right because that looks more foresty.
You're correct. Okay. Good deductive reasoning. Great deductive reasoning. Your I don't know, something teacher would be very proud of you.
Yeah. All of my Nottingham geographic location knowledge is from books. Talking about the sheriff of Nottingham and whatnot.
I love books. Well, actually, the very first, if you look up Nottingham, the very first image is a Robin Hood statue.
Nice. Okay.
So
yeah, I've read a lot of Robin Hood books in my day.
Yeah, rob from the rich, give to the Saudi Emirates, just like the Premier League would do.
Right. And as
rob
we know,
from the Russian oil barons, give to the Saudi oil barons. It's the Premier League way.
All ethics that we completely endorse on this podcast.
That's right. I would say we're big fans of both Gazprom and OPEC.
Yeah,
I would say our uninhibited endorsement for both brands.
Right. I bought the Schalke jersey and I demanded they put the Gazprom logo on.
That's right. You threw a fit. You walked into wherever Schalke is and you said, "I demand this logo now." Chelsea beat Everton. It was a 1-0 game that probably didn't reflect the actual result here, or the whatever, the words I'm talking about. They're both defensive teams. Everton is as boring as drawing paint and couldn't score a goal if they tried. They sold Richarlison this year, almost guaranteeing that they'll be relegated. I feel like
I wrote the preview to this game and I'm like, I was going through it. I don't know who scores for Everton at all. Do they even score a goal this year?
Who would have been a good pickup for them in the summer transfer window?
Who's that, Steven?
Richarlison. I feel like would have been a great guy for them.
Fit in really well with that team.
Yeah, he would have been a good attacking asset for them to have. But alas, I do
like some of the moves Everton made with that Richarlison money to reinforce their midfield. But again, you can reinforce your midfield all you want, but if you don't have a striker, that's a bit of a problem.
I think they're in that be 16th sort of phase right now. Just don't be relegated.
Live to fight another day. Exactly. Live to make another summer transfer window.
Exactly. United, why don't you talk to us about United? Because you're the United guy.
Yeah, this is rough. And yeah, so especially when you consider, all right, let me take you through my day, Steven. I woke up early, made a pot of coffee because it's early. Did I mention that I got up early for this one? And there are a lot of good feelings. Eric Ten Hag coming in, like I talked about in the last podcast. I was actually optimistic about Man United team for once, and then I saw the starting lineup drop. I saw that McTominay and Fred were starting. I saw that Harry Maguire and Luke Shaw and Delo were starting. It was, I don't know, like not the greatest lineup, but I also don't know what changes you can make outside of like, because the problem is that Christian Eriksen had to start in the false nine because you don't have any striking options because Ronaldo sat out all of preseason and Martial's hurt. So like you had to play a false nine, which doesn't help because Christian Eriksen's not necessarily like well suited for that.
Justin, was
So
the last time Anthony Martial played for Manchester United like 2016?
I don't know. He's always got something going on.
Yeah.
And like I think he can be so good if like in this system, but yeah, I don't know
Uh,
how bad. Like I don't think this injury was major, but it always seems like he has something nagging. Yeah, and so the game starts. United had like a good first 10 minutes. Then after that, Brighton just like had total control of the ball throughout that first half. And
mhm.
like they scored the first goal, they scored the second goal. You go into the half down 2-0 at home to Brighton, you're getting booed off the pitch. And they come out in the second half, not making any adjustments right away. Like Ronaldo takes like 20 minutes to get ready to get into the game. And after he comes in like the 60th minute, Christian Eriksen drops back to the midfield, like in more of that like number 8, number 10 role. And I think he's really good for that. And he was much more defensively sound than Fred was, who he replaced, and was like actually making runs back that neither McTominay or Fred were doing. So there were some positives to maybe take away if you look at that second half, the last 30 minutes, and you see that like United started to get more of the ball, started to make more of an attempt to get forward, but like an old Manchester United would have equalized that game. And I just think there are so many problems here that like it's going to take probably until the winter transfer window. Like assuming that the Frankie De Jong saga doesn't ever resolve itself, and then they've been rumored with like just no one that's going to make any sort of difference to this team.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
So
but on the bright side, have you considered that Paul Pogba is gone?
I have considered that, yes. It's like, and that's the thing too. Like you lose Pogba, who we talked about at length last season. He like was uninspired, like clearly didn't want to be here. But then you also like the signings you make are all Christian Eriksen, who I love, but he is like a pretty low risk signing because no one is really, he was a free agent, not really on huge salary demands because everyone's still kind of apprehensive about bringing him in just because of his health background. And then like it's also apparently a locker room that's just completely in tatters. So yeah, Ten Hag's got some work to do, which I have a lot of faith in him, and I think you could see like some of his system trademarks like starting to come through, but like it just feels like someday they're going to write a book about this front office of the last 10 years, and it's going to be very interesting to read.
And Justin Hornicourt will write
Right,
that
written
book.
by me.
Yes,
There's a
indeed.
fan protest going on that they're trying to protest the game against Liverpool and trying to like have an empty Old Trafford. So it'll be interesting to see if that makes any headway.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that'll be fun. Um, Brentford and Leicester. Tell us about them.
There are two teams. Yeah.
Okay. And now moving on. No,
Rory
they tied.
Tielemans is incredible. That's what I took away from this game. Like
Uh-huh.
he made some pinging like diagonal passes that just like were right on the foot of the Leicester attackers. And
Uh-huh.
like him, he was a standout. It was like a really middling game, and then you had standout performances from Tielemans and like Ivan Toney for
God, I
uh
love Ivan Toney.
like he's
I love him
just
so much. I
yeah.
want him. I want him on Liverpool so badly, and he never will be. But I want him. Which of these two cities is this, Justin? For those who can't see at home, this is literally the least distinct city I've
Is that
ever seen.
like St. Charles?
I mean, it's not even St. Charles because it's like row housing, but it looks like the St. Charles of row housing.
Is that
This is Leicester.
okay? Which I should have guessed because Brentford's in London, right? So
Yeah,
yeah,
but
that looks very Leicestery.
yeah, less being the operative word. as MJF would say, it's very mid.
And
You
people
know,
live there. People just choose
that's
to live there.
well, I don't know about choose. I think born and are in an inescapable
Yeah,
cycle probably is a better fit. You
I
know,
get that. I understand that.
Manchester City destroyed West Ham.
Mm,
What do you say there? They're a
yeah,
much better team than
they
anyone.
smothered them defensively and offensively. It was quite a sight to see.
Yeah. And you asked if there were any change to our predictions after week one. I mean, other than Liverpool being relegated, I
Right.
don't think
Other than
so.
that, other than
Uh,
Liverpool and Manchester United both being relegated, I don't know if there's any.
yeah, I mean, the odds of that seem slim coming in. So, given that,
Do you change your prediction about Fulham being relegated?
um, yes, I think I did see enough from them that I felt like, they're actually going to be a bit nasty this year. I don't think they'll probably get a lot of wins, but I think they've got enough not to be relegated,
Yeah. I think Erling Haaland will probably score more goals than we predicted originally, so that'll be fun to see.
He doesn't play for Fulham, though. I think you should
No.
know that.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
This would be a much different story.
I think Darwin looks really good on Liverpool. He fits right in. It's going to be really interesting as the season progresses to see how they kind of mix and match that front three at different times. But yeah, I mean, I think we know pretty much what we knew, and we just have to adjust. But where we just have to, watch the season play out and adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
Moving on to the MLS, we talked about the table last time, so I won't get too deep into it. Montreal and their butthole flag are still in third place. That is literally the butthole flag.
They're rebranding again. Don't worry, Steven.
Well, I know. Oh, we all know. Everybody knows. We would know even if we didn't know. FC Cincinnati are in sixth place, but what's this? 4 losses, or of the last 4 games, 3 draws and a loss.
The wheels are falling off a bit for Pat inside, I believe.
They've woken up. They realized they were in Cincinnati, and they stopped trying. You gotta love a league where Cincinnati and Chicago can both be in playoff spots with a -3 goal differential, and the Revolution can be in 10th with a +1 goal differential.
Yeah, Chicago's an interesting team to me because they're like so trash at the beginning of the year, and like all of a sudden, like I think it took Shaqiri a bit to like really warm up, and like he's been looking really, really like he fits in this league and fits on this team. Like he's been kind of an underrated performer because of like his bad start.
Shaqiri, you're referring, of course, to the Power Cube,
right? Power Cube. And I think everyone like saw his bad start, and it's just like, okay, so he's just toast, and like he's actually been pretty good recently. So
ever write off Xherdan Shaqiri. That man, more than anyone I've ever watched play soccer, has an ability to like spend 70 minutes looking like the worst soccer player you've ever seen in your entire life, and then just find some bit of class.
Steven, I almost sent like the pictures of him playing in Charlotte. It looks like he was just melting on the field. Like I don't think he's ever sweated that much in his life.
Yeah, probably not. No, he's never encountered heat before. The man is
definitely not humidity. That's for sure.
Yeah. But I still love Shaqiri. So if I didn't have to hate Chicago for legal reasons, I might get a Chicago Shaqiri jersey. Also, Chicago Shaqiri is fun to say. You know what? He should marry Shakira, and then it can be a whole thing. But
PK might have a word to say about that, but she's used to footballers, so
that's right.
Yes, there's something there.
And I think PK and Shaqiri equally handsome. Equally dashing men. So,
Shaqiri less tax implications also, so that's a plus.
Almost a given. More political, unrest, but fewer tax implications.
Right. Yeah.
LAFC Gareth Bale has arrived. They won 5 in a row. Things look pretty good.
They look really good.
But Los Angeles Galaxy, on the other hand, are all the way down to 9th and have lost 4 of their last 5.
Yeah, the Galaxy are interesting to me because like they should be better, but when you watch them play, you're like, no, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
On
Yeah, I
paper
agree.
they should be, but when you watch them play, like there's this thing is just so disjointed.
Yeah. We didn't talk about DC United with a minus 19 goal differential.
Oof, that's rough.
Not to be outdone though, Sporting KC minus 21.
Yeah, and like
Uh,
DC, Wayne Rooney coming in, like new coach, they'll probably get a bump. Sporting like are definitely going to be the last place team, like, and that's what happens when both like two of your DPs are out for the season, right? And you're just forced to live with that.
That's
But
pretty rough. Yeah.
yeah,
There is no pro rel in MOS, much to the chagrin of literally every other FIFA league in the world. But if there were, we'd be looking at Sporting KC and DC United going out down. Who would be coming up from the USL though? Let's take a look.
oh, I want to say Sacramento and like Birmingham.
Why would you know these things just offhand?
Is that true? Are they?
Oh wait, League One is like below that, right? I want
Yeah,
the Super
yeah.
League.
You want the championship?
Oh,
I was wrong.
let me look. I'm there. I'm getting there. Loading. Louisville City.
Okay, I get that.
And with due respect, if you want to pay homage, you do have to say Louisville because it's not Louisville or Louisville.
Louisville.
It's Louisville. It's like they try as hard as they can to make it one syllable.
You have like a bunch of peanut butter in your mouth when you're saying
yeah.
it.
Louisville City SC, Tampa Bay Rowdies. I should go down and see a Tampa Bay Rowdies game.
You should
come sometime and we should do like a soccer tour of
like a Florida tour. Yeah.
If we can find a weekend where like Inter plays on Sunday or Saturday and
it'd be like
Orlando plays on the opposite day.
Yeah, and maybe it's like a Orlando Miami game. That could work, Steven. This could work.
Yeah, or Orlando Miami game, that'll work too. There's an extra bedroom. It's gonna be great. You just, it's gonna be awesome.
Folks, Steven keeps hyping up this extra bedroom. So
yeah, there's nothing sketchy about it. Phil says it's all good, it's all above board. So, there's just an ice bath in there and a couple spare organs, but you've got organs to spare. You don't need two kidneys. That's what he keeps telling me.
That is true. That is what I heard. I can function fine on one.
Louisville City FC, Tampa Bay Rowdies, Memphis 901 FC, and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds are leading the Eastern Conference, while in the West, San Antonio FC, San Diego Loyal FC, Colorado Springs Switchbacks FC, and New Mexico United are the top four. Let me ask you this question, Justin, and I think it's a good transition to our own team, which we want to talk about in a minute because
of course
they're a little guilty of this too. At what point does the FC or SC become parity at the end of this?
I think it's there. Isn't it like we're there, right?
I think it's us, and I think it's definitely Colorado Springs Switchbacks FC.
That just broke everyone's brains. That's what made St. Louis City SC possible, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I love, by the way, though, the Switchbacks logo and their team name and pretty much everything about.
It's a good color scheme. Yeah.
Yeah. About them, but just don't put the FC on there.
There's something like romantic in me about like USL teams being in like Colorado Springs, and like there's an Omaha team and a Madison team,
like not quite real cities.
Yeah, I like kind of want to go watch them play.
Oh my god, I'd love to watch. I love Colorado Springs. I would love to go to a game there. So we'll hit one weekend. We'll hit Inter, Orlando, and Colorado Springs, and we'll figure out how it's going to work. But I do have an extra bedroom. I don't know if
we'll bring it to Colorado.
That's right. But yeah, just so we'll figure it out. We'll figure out the details. But the important things to note are extra bedroom, Colorado Springs, Inter, extra bedroom, Orlando. SC, Enter, Miami FC. St. Louis Soccer, St. Louis, I can't even say
St. Louis City Soccer Club.
St. Louis City SC is they had their season ticket holders tour this week, which is pretty cool because it means we have a stadium.
It does.
Your father was in attendance, Justin, as
He
I
was. Yeah,
understand.
he was.
Your father, whose name is Paul? No.
Jeff. Oh,
Jeff.
so close.
So close. Paul was my dad's name. So,
Four letters, almost there.
just a random guess that
Right.
what's a good dad's name, and you say your own dad's name. What was Jeff's experience? I saw him in a hard hat.
Yeah,
and a vest,
I think he loved it. I think
vest.
he was ready to finish work on the stadium if they would have let him. Yeah, it looked
Does
really
he
fun.
work in construction?
I think it's almost done. I think it's just about done. Like my dad said that like they had a couple of the concourses not finished yet, but the field and the stands and everything aren't finished. So it's like almost ready to hold events one of these days.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting.
I thought, I just thought it was cool that like you got to tour the stadium before it's like even held anything. You got to see your seats. Like that's, I don't know. It's a little thing, I'm sure, but it just makes it so much more real.
Yeah, for sure. And I can't wait to catch a game there next
I'm gonna
year.
cry. I think I'm actually gonna cry when it happens.
I might. It's pretty freaking exciting. Some City players have been playing for City 2, which is pretty cool, and apparently legal. And they're now in second place behind Tacoma, which is in Washington. Tacoma, Washington.
The
I guarantee if I look up Tacoma, Washington, it is going to look immediately more interesting than any of the cities.
Oh yeah, Washington in general. If we could just have some love for Washington, and like Tacoma, I think is like close to close to the actual mountains there too.
Yeah.
So
yeah, for sure. I'm also seeing a lot of Toyota Tacomas. I also love the Tacoma Rainiers, great baseball team name. So
we're big fans of Washington.
It's just all positive. It's all good stuff. Washington, very good, very beautiful state. Snoqualmie Falls also.
No, also not enough sunlight for me to actually be able to live there, but yeah.
That's true. But other than that, Twin Peaks was set there.
Twin Peaks, yes.
Everybody's a big Twin Peaks fan. Very uplifting, family friendly show. I'd say don't go watch it with your kids, folks. If you don't want
to. But do go watch it alone, and preferably late at night. It will be a good experience for you.
As late as possible, yes. Because I was exposed to Twin Peaks far too early in life. By my brother, who I hope is listening to this, but probably isn't because it's soccer. I've been scarred. I've been scarred by Bob and the little dancing fellow and the doppelgangers and the screaming and the blood and the murder. So you all should be too.
I kind of love it, and like it's probably because I didn't watch it. Like I didn't watch it until college, so I think I was in the right mind.
It's an amazing show. I'm always really excited when I meet someone who's watched it, in our age demographic, not to lump you with an old person like me, Justin, you are a little bit younger, but, in our general age range in the, 15 or so years that we were born in. If you like Stranger Things, folks, you're going to like Twin Peaks. I tell you. And you're gonna like it because it is the same show.
It's if David Lynch directed Stranger Things, it'd be the exact same show.
It's a pretty true. Yeah, I can't I don't know if Stranger Things has ever officially said we're heavily influenced by Twin Peaks, but I mean they very clearly.
Yeah.
City 2 has or I guess not City 2. We St. Louis City FC have also signed City 2 players Josh Yarrow and Kyle Hebert to MLS contracts. Not your little cousin yet. No contract for him.
No contract for him. Yeah, I'm not sure that contract's coming, but if we talk about enough on the podcast, I'm like, maybe they'll hear it.
Well, this podcast has power. We are followed by people in the organization.
That's true. Hackworth did follow the podcast Twitter, so shout out to Hackworth.
That's right. So, and I'm sure he's listening. I'm sure. I mean, it's pretty exciting. We've got a little bit of a team here. Why don't you walk us through the roster that we have?
So, of course, you have Roman Berkey as the goalkeeper number 1.
Yeah, beloved by everyone, especially former German BBB fans.
Yes. Kyle Hebert, Josh Yarrow from the STL 2 team, which, to say a little bit about that, I am excited that, they both played pretty well. And obviously, it's a league below, and like you can run into trouble being in your entire USL roster, like we saw Cincinnati. But like I think it's cool to at least give a couple of people who have obviously kind of earned the right to see if they can handle D1 soccer again. So I'm excited about that. Joaquin Nielsen. So is it Joaquin or Joaquin? It's Joaquin, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
probably.
probably. I can. Selmir Pedro, of course, the Bosnian young international. Tomas Oshak, Isaac Jensen, bringing out our midfield. Edouard Lewin and João Klaus, of course, our designated players who we'll see. I'm like still apprehensive on that. I think I need to see something before I like make up my opinion. Like I was listening to Allocation Disorder, and they both didn't seem necessarily thrilled about either of them. But like looking through it, if João Klaus is the João Klaus of the Austrian Bundesliga,
Allocation Disorder has started talking about us.
They did on the last episode, Steve.
I need to go back and listen.
So take a little listen. But they talked about João Klaus and how he only had 6 goal contributions last year, and like how that probably doesn't look great for his MLS projections. But I think there's definitely truth there. But if you look back to what he did at LASK, which Austrian Bundesliga, it's probably pretty similar to MLS in terms of quality, and he had a very good season. I was looking it up beforehand. He had LASK 12 goals, 4 assists in 28 games. So like that's pretty solid for an MLS striker. He's a DP, but he's not making a ton of money, or at least like transfer fee wasn't a ton of money. So
yeah. I mean, I'm not too worried about him. I think we still probably need that signature guy to like,
signature guy,
the big,
see what happens with the MLS domestic free agents. That will, you're definitely going to be able to find some diamonds with that.
Yeah, agreed. But I think we're building a team and a unit, and I think we're going to be better served for that than trying to put all our eggs in one basket. And I would rather, I'll be perfectly honest, I would be happy being a mid-table team for a couple years and trying to get better from there rather than being Cincinnati, just don't be an embarrassment.
Right. And you can like clearly see the direction that they're trying to like build a team in, which I think is very positive. And like, at least if, we probably aren't a playoff team, and at least if we're like struggling for a couple of years, you can at least see the direction and the like process there.
Yeah, agreed. Justin, we're close to wrapping up here. Excuse me. When were you going to reveal to me that Derek Ray follows the podcast? Because that seems
does Derek Ray follow the podcast? How did I not know that?
I don't know, but he does.
When did I miss that Derek Ray followed us?
I don't know, but
this is a groundbreaking information.
I had to look like 2 or 3 times. Like, is this a fake check mark? What am I missing here? Did you tweet Derek Ray sometime? Did you like?
I'm sure I quote tweeted him at some point, because obviously he tweets about Bundesliga a lot.
And I looked. I assumed that it was like, maybe he was one of those guys that just follows back a lot of people. Not really, pretty selective.
I think, what I think it was too is like he's been with Lutz on a couple of the like broadcasts. So I think we must have tweeted something on that, and Derek Ray is like, sure.
Yeah. Lutz is still that big. That's the big follow we're trying to lock down. We have locked in Jeff Horniker, I just noticed as well. So very exciting there. You're doing yeoman's work on the Twitter over there.
Who listens to everything I put out ever.
Yeah. Shout out. You know what? We need good parents.
Shout out dads in general. If we could put that shout out.
Exactly. Pro show. Yeah. Speak of the devil, Doug Peters also on here. So
shout out dads. Yeah.
That's legit. But yeah, it's getting real, and that's really exciting. We're like 6 months away from
Lutz got a STL City mention on the Bundesliga ABC broadcast. So like we appreciate that also, coming around the corner.
Yeah. Exactly. I love this team, and it's not even a team yet. So imagine how we'll feel when it is a team.
Yeah. I'm just
Shout out also to our friends Bryant and me, who are recording their 100th episode tonight as we speak. I mean, I think they're done technically as we speak, but Still very exciting for them.
Go listen to them after you listen to us, obviously.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they've already listened to us if they're hearing this. So,
that
actually kind of works.
If
You
you haven't heard this yet, make sure you listen to us first.
If you skip to the 52nd minute to see what we were talking about, or whatever minute.
Oh man, you're going to be in for a
Don't
world of
you dare.
change throughout the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you skipped, you haven't even freaking heard about the extra bedroom yet. So go back, check it out.
You have no idea of the hellscape that is Lester.
Yeah, exactly. And you never will. Did that cover it, Justin? Are we good? Are we
I think so. I think we're good.
We're on kind of a schedule now. I mean, it counts.
I know I had to cut out a lot of the MLS All-Star Game content. I know Steven wanted to talk a lot about it, but I just wasn't feeling it. So, maybe a time down the road.
Yeah, I agree. Anytime we can get in here, the tournament he's due for is so extreme.
Yeah, he's actually writing a 1,500-page report on the MLS All-Star Game right now. That's why he's
here. Yeah, exactly. Because it's so good. Everybody loves the All-Star Game.
Yeah.
Before I embarrass myself anymore or pitch Justin any harder on my extra bedroom, let's wrap it up. Thanks for tuning in. Go listen to Brian and me. Congratulations on their 100th episode. Derek Ray, if you're listening, you're the voice I hear in my dreams. We love you. And good night.
Adios.